So let's begin by offering our respects to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Okay, so we welcome all of you to our weekly Bhagavad Gita classes. We have with us Ranjit Das, Divya, Ayush, Dipti Adnani, Disha Jadwani, Harman Bakshani, Manju, Mehek Bakshani, Venkatchari, Auntie Nita, Pavani, Rajat Sharma. My parents are there. Then we have Ritu Lalwani, Saket, Sandra, and Venkatesh Prabhu. Okay. Do we have any doubts from the previous class?
Hare Krishna, Sana.
Hare Krishna.
When you spoke about Krishna counteracted the three reasons of Arjuna for not fighting.
Yes.
The fifth one you said you will talk about it in the 18th chapter.
Yes.
The fourth one I am not. I have a doubt about it.
It's in the 3rd chapter.
Okay, so it's coming in the next chapter.
Yes, coming up.
Okay.
The 4th reason you said, right?
Fourth reason, destruction of family values.
Yeah, that is in the next chapter.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay, anything else? So in the previous class, we discussed, we are in the last section of chapter 2. And Arjuna begins that section by asking some questions. So Arjuna wants to know what are the symptoms of a sthita pragya. Who's a sthita pragya? Because Krishna in 53, verse 53, he spoke about a sthita pragya, someone whose mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas. One who's fixed up in transcendence, right? So one who's fixed up, one who's not agitated, one whose mind and thoughts are not agitated, that person is a sthita pragya. So now Arjuna asks Krishna, what are the symptoms of that person? How to recognize such a person? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk? So these questions Krishna answered, we saw in the previous class. First of all, in 55, Krishna answers, what are the symptoms of such a person? So what are the symptoms of a sthita pragya? Krishna says, a sthita pragya is one who has given up varieties of desire for sense gratification. So he has no desire for sense gratification. And he is satisfied in the self alone. So he is not seeking for pleasures outside. He is seeking pleasures inside. And then Krishna answers, how does he speak? So how does he speak? First, he talks about the mentality of a person, and then he actually talks about how does the sthita pragya speak. So what is the mentality of the person? He is not disturbed in the threefold miseries. What are the threefold miseries? We saw?
Yeah.
Adhyatmika,
Advaitika
Yes.
and
Adhyatmika,
Adidevika.
Adidaivika, and
Adibhutika.
yeah, Adi Bhautika. Very nice. So these are the threefold miseries. So sthita pragya is not disturbed even amongst the threefold miseries, and neither is he elated or excited when there is happiness. So he is steady. And then Krishna says that he is free from attachment, fear, and anger. Raga, Krodha, Raga, Bhaya, and Krodha. Then Krishna says that he neither praises nor he despises by whatever good or evil he may obtain. So this is how he speaks. Then how does he sit? Krishna's next question, Arjuna's next question is how does he sit? So how does he sit? He sits just as how a tortoise withdraws his limbs when it sees danger. In the same way, a sthita pragya withdraws his sense from the sense objects. So whenever he says that this is not good for my spiritual life, immediately he withdraws his senses from anything that is dangerous for the spiritual life. So this is how he sits, Krishna said. So the last question is, how does he walk? That we will see in today's class. So then Krishna says that even though one may restrict oneself from sense enjoyment, the taste still remains. So just as how for somebody who's a severe alcoholic or he's addicted to drugs, even though he may give up, initially the temptation will still be there that I want it. So what is the solution? Krishna gives a solution that he can give it up by experiencing a higher taste. When we give the mind better sense engagement, then we can give up the lower propensities. See, in the pastime of Dhruv Maharaj, initially Dhruv's desire was material, because what was it that Dhruv wanted? Dhruv wanted a kingdom, because Dhruv's stepmother did not allow him to sit on the lap of his father. And she said that if you want that opportunity, you have to take birth from my womb. So he said that I want a kingdom even greater than that of my grandfather, which is Lord Brahma. That was the Dhruv's desire. So he went and he meditated upon his mother's advice, and within 6 months he saw the Lord face to face in front of him. And at that time Dhruv realized his that what he was seeking for is only material sense gratification. To have a kingdom, what is so great about having that greater kingdom, right? Anyway, he has to take birth again. So then he realizes that what I was seeking for was just broken pieces of glass, he says. So when we get higher taste, then we can give up the lower propensities. And then Krishna says that the senses are very, very strong. They even carry away the mind of a person of discrimination. So even a very, very strong person can be carried away. We saw the story of Vishwamitra, how Vishwamitra was distracted just by the sound of the anklets of the Apsara. Then here in 61, for the first time, Krishna revealed that one should fix our consciousness on whom? Whom do we have to fix our consciousness upon? Krishna says, upon me. So for the first time, Krishna reveals that he is the goal upon which one should fix his consciousness. And in this, we saw the story, one story from Srimad Bhagavatam. Which story did we see?
Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni.
Ambarish and Durvasa. So Durvasa did not have his mind fixed up on the Lord. Durvasa was only thinking about himself. I should be honored, isn't it? So he was defeated very easily by Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj was a devotee. His mind was fixed up on the Lord. So although Ambarish Maharaj is a grihastha and a Kshatriya, a king, he was able to defeat a sannyasi and a Brahmana. Okay, so today we will start from 62 onwards, where Krishna continues to talk on this subject matter. He will answer this last question of Arjuna, how does he walk, in 64. Okay, that is answered in 64. Okay.
We stopped at 59 page.
59?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to our PowerPoint and see. 1 second.
No, we stopped at 261.
61?
Is it?
When
Yeah,
Krishna
when
first
we see
thing
the
says
slides,
to fix up his consciousness.
So 59 is here. After 59, we saw these slides. See, we saw these slides. Remember, we saw the downfall of Saubhari Muni, who got agitated just by seeing. Oh, I have not. Did I share the slide or no? No. 1 second.
Yes.
Okay. So 59 is this. In 59, we spoke about, or rather in 60, we saw these slides where we spoke about Haridas Thakur versus Vishwamitra. And then we saw the downfall of Saubhari Muni. 61, we saw the story of Ambarish and Durvasa. Right? So we have seen these slides.
Yes.
Okay, so today we start from 62. Okay. Who can read today?
I can.
Okay, thank you, Ayush. 62. Let's hear the verse.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते.
While contemplating the objects of senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises.
So from 62 to 6, in verses 62 and 63, Krishna is describing the steps that lead to destruction. So we call it the 8-step trajectory to tragedy. Here we have 4. In the next verse, we have the next 4. So what does Krishna say? Krishna is saying, while contemplating the objects of the senses.
Not visible.
Okay, 1 second. Somebody needs to mute. Okay, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. So when you contemplate on the objects of the senses, there is attachment. Attachment leads to lust, and lust leads to anger. Now, what do we mean by contemplating the objects of the senses? Let's go back to our story of Ajamila. We saw how Ajamila was born in an elevated Brahmin family, and he was also practicing the Brahminical culture. And he goes in the morning to collect some flowers from the garden for the worship of the deities, for doing his puja. But when he goes there, he sees the prostitute embracing someone else, and then his mind gets agitated. So, okay, one can say that one may see something, one has no control over what one sees. Sometimes we walk on the road and we may see something that's not good for our spiritual life. But then, even though that is out of our control, what is within our control is we should not contemplate on the objects of the senses, which means we don't have to recall what we saw, or we don't have to think about it, or we don't have to recall that memory again and again. So that is called contemplating the objects of the senses. Because Ajamila kept thinking about the prostitute after that, then that led to attachment. He became attached to that prostitute. So Krishna is saying, well, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. Now, attachment leads to lust. So Ajamila thought about the prostitute. Again and again, he recalled the memory. So he developed attachment. Then that attachment for the prostitute led to lust. He wanted to marry her and have her with him forever, always, right? So from attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. We saw how Ajamila was not able to fulfill the needs or the desires of the prostitute, not the needs, actually the desires of the prostitute, because she wanted more and more. And then he realized that, so now I'm not able to keep her happy. So he's angry and he's frustrated, right? So contemplation leads to attachment. Attachment leads to lust, and lust leads to anger. So a timely pull can save us from a deadly fall. If Ajamila had on time just withdrawn his senses, he would have stopped contemplating on the prostitute. He would have not recalled that memory again and again. Then it would have not led to his fall down, eventual fall down. So this example, say somebody is riding on a horse and the horse sees a very lush green field with a lot of vegetables, lot of food for the horse. The horse is going to desire to go to that food, right? Go and take that food. So the horse is going to gallop towards the food, and then he picks up speed, and eventually the driver can be thrown off the horse. But if the rider of the horse pulls the reins of the horses on time and does not allow the horse to go towards the food, right? Pulling the reins on time, then he can prevent falling down from the horse. Now, of course, one may argue that he can always get back, again, climb over the back of the horse. Even Krishna says that no matter how fallen you are, when you surrender unto me, the slate is wiped clean. So the devotee can come back. Yes, it's not that gone forever. But still, that is a painful process, and it will also take much time. It's going to take more and more lifetimes. So a timely pull can save us from a deadly fall. If on time we withdraw our senses, we don't contemplate on what we have seen, then it can prevent us from a deadly fall. Whatever catches our attention catches us. See, the advertising industry makes a lot of money based on this principle. Whatever catches our attention catches us. So they try to catch our attention by catchy one-liners or big hoardings, billboards, even on television. So whatever catches our attention catches us. It not only catches us, it also sabotages our intention. If a group of university students are on the way to college to study, to get some. Okay, what's the last thing that you all heard?
Horse deadly fall.
Okay. Did you get this? Whatever catches our attention catches us?
No.
No.
Okay. So I was saying that the advertising industry makes a lot of money based on this principle. Whatever catches our attention catches us. So they try to catch our attention by billboards, catchy one-liners, big hoardings, or even on television, because once our attention is caught, then we are caught, then we will buy their products. So whatever catches our attention catches us. If we don't allow the senses to get caught up, right, contemplating the objects of the senses, then we will be able to relieve ourselves. So not only does it catch us, it also sabotages our intention. Let's say a group of university students are on the way to college to get some education, but then they see that they see a hoarding saying that first day, first show, buy 2 tickets for the price of 1. So then their intention was to go to college. But then they decide, after seeing this hoarding, they decide that let's go and watch the movie. So whatever snags our attention, even sabotages our intention. Careless contemplation turns tempting thoughts into time bombs. So initially, let's say a bomb is planted. Initially, there is no dangers. One may think that there is nothing to fear of because it looks like an ordinary object, right? One may not recognize that it's a time bomb if it's placed inside another suitcase or something like that. So one may think that it's not dangerous. But then when the bomb starts ticking away, it's activated, then it will lead to explosion and then it will lead to destruction. So in the same way, initially, when we have some thoughts, we may think that it's not dangerous. It's okay. It's fine. A little bit of sense gratification is okay once in a while. We can compromise once in a while. But then over a period of time, that's what is going to lead to the explosion. That's what is going to lead to a destruction. Just because a memory can't be deleted doesn't mean that it has to be recalled. Now, if we have a virus on our computer and the antivirus is not able to delete the virus, what does the antivirus do? The antivirus will at least quarantine it. It will quarantine it so the virus is not activated and it will not harm our computer. So if we see something or we hear something that is not good for our spiritual life, one may say that, okay, I cannot help it, but then we can definitely help not contemplating on that. So we don't have to recall that memory, right? We don't have to recall it. We have to quarantine it. So that's why Krishna says that do not contemplate on the objects of the senses. Don't recall the virus, just quarantine it. So let's go to 63.
क्रोधाद् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति.
From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
So this is part 2 of the 8-step trajectory to tragedy. What Krishna is saying, that from anger now complete delusion arises. So one is in a confused state of mind. One is an illusion, right? One is confused. Then from delusion, what comes? Bewilderment of memory. One forgets that there is something right and there is something wrong, that we have to differentiate between the right and the wrong. Okay. So when memory is bewildered, then intelligence is lost. Intelligence is lost means we consider that which is good to be bad and that which is bad to be good. So that is even more dangerous. So just see how the danger level is increasing as Krishna proceeds. When memory is bewildered, when we forget that there is a good and bad, then intelligence is lost. Then we consider the good to be bad and we consider the bad to be good. Now we know in the modern day times, if somebody sees a spiritual person, first of all, people are losing trust in spiritual people, unfortunately, because of many bogus people around. So they think that the good is bad. Even when they see someone genuine, they doubt the person. But somebody who's dressed up very nicely, very flashy clothes, is very cool, has a very modern lifestyle, then one thinks that is good. So one thinks the good to be bad and bad to be good. The intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, Krishna says, one falls down again into the material pool. Now coming back to the story of Ajamila. So he was angry that he's not able to fulfill the greed of the prostitute. Then complete delusion arises. Now he's in illusion, right? He's forgetting that there is something good and there is something bad. Then from delusion, bewilderment of memory. He's thinking that he's forgetting that what were his Brahminical practices, what was a good thing that he did, and the prostitute actually is now leading him to a sinful life. So bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. So he's thinking the good to be bad and bad to be good. He starts to rob people, he starts to kill people, and he starts to commit all kinds of crime in order to satisfy the process. So he's thinking that that is the good thing that he is doing. And when intelligence is lost, one falls on again into the material pool. We saw how he led 80 plus years of his life, and then he was on his deathbed. So it led to his complete fall down. So these two verses, 62 and 63, and you take the story of Ajamila, is the exact sequence what happened in Ajamila's life. So see this fall down sutra. Contemplation. Let me just consider this for a moment. Then attachment. I like it. Lust. I want it at all costs. Then comes krodha, anger. Who can stop me from getting it? Then there is confusion, samoha. Confusion about what is good and what is bad. Then smriti vibhrama. Forgetfulness of good and bad. They forget what is good and what is bad. And then buddhi nasha. Mistaking the bad to be good and the good to be bad. So 8th stage trajectory to tragedy. Contemplation leads to attraction. Attraction leads to lust. Lust leads to anger. Anger leads to delusion or illusion. That leads to bewilderment of memory, loss of intelligence, and fall down. So this is what happened to Ajamila. He saw the prostitute. He contemplated on her. That led to attraction. Then there was lust. He wanted to marry her. Then he's angry that he cannot fulfill her desire. He's unable to fulfill her needs, her greeds. Then there is delusion and bewilderment of memory. Then loss of intelligence. He is thinking the good to be bad and bad to be good. And eventually it led to his fall down. So don't let the mind eat your head. Vinash kale viprit buddhi. So the head is the favorite delicacy of the mind, because the mind knows that if my head falls, then I have got the person completely. So don't let the mind eat your head. Use your intelligence. Intelligence is higher than the mind. Guard against the tiny crack. It may end in a mighty crash. So let's say there is a crack, small crack in the dam. Now, if this crack is not repaired immediately, then over a period of time, the dam is going to crash, the water is going to be released, and there is going to be destruction, isn't it? So don't contemplate. As soon as you see something dangerous, hear something dangerous, then immediately repair it. Don't let the crack remain, because over a period of time, it will lead to destruction. That's why Krishna is saying that don't contemplate on the sense, on the objects of the senses. If we let our mundane desires drive us, they will drive us mad. That's why don't allow yourself to follow what your mind says. The mind is always going to tell us to do that which is wrong. The mind will always tell us that the good is bad and the bad is good. So use your intelligence. Intelligence is higher than the mind. Let's go to 64.
रागद्वेष विमुक्तैस्तु विषयानिन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेयात्मा प्रसादमधिगच्छति.
But a person free from all attachments and aversion are able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can attain the complete mercy of the Lord.
So here Krishna is answering Arjuna's question, how does he walk? How does he walk means how does this person, how does a Sthita Pragya move around? So this person is free from all attachment and aversion, and is able to control his senses. How? Through regulative principles of freedom. Now just see this term here, regulative principles of freedom. It appears that there is a contradiction, because when there is regulation, how can there be freedom? And when there is freedom, how can there be regulation? Regulation means you are restricted, isn't it? So then where is the question of freedom? So it appears that there is a contradiction here, but we will explain how this is not a contradiction. But before that, let's see this word prasadam. What is the meaning of this word prasad?
Of God.
What's that? Sorry? Mercy of
Mercy.
the Lord.
Lord.
So prasad actually means mercy. This is the literal meaning of the Sanskrit word prasad. So that's why our elders teach us that you never say no to prasad, because when you say no to prasad, you are saying no to the mercy of the Lord. And who can say that I don't want the mercy of the Lord? So when we eat Krishna prasad, we are only taking the mercy of the Lord, because in that plate which we offer to the Lord with love and devotion, the Lord has put his mercy in that food. When we eat food that is not offered to the Lord, we are taking only sin. Only sin. That Krishna will say in the next chapter, actually. We will see that verse when we get there. So prasad is the mercy of the Lord. Okay, now coming back to regulative principles of freedom. What are the 4 regulative principles?
No meat eating,
No meat eating,
no illicit
no
sex,
intoxication,
no intoxication, no illicit
No
relationship,
gambling. No gambling.
no gambling. Yes. So first of all, these are the 4 regulative principles. So how is Krishna saying regulative principles of freedom? Because this may be a restriction. I'm not allowed to eat whatever I want to eat. I'm not allowed to have a relationship with whomever I want to have a relationship. So I'm being restricted, right? Where is the freedom? So it depends on what is it that I'm seeking. Now let's say that I'm in a house and all that I desire, all that I like, all that I love is within that house. So when this fence is there, I will see the fence as protection. Because all that I want, all that I love is in the house. So I see the fence as protection. But if my mind is desiring that which is outside the fence, which is material sense gratification, then I will see the fence as deprivation. Then I will see the fence as a restriction for me. So it depends on what is it that I'm seeking. If I'm seeking inner happiness, if I'm seeking to connect with the Lord, then these regulative principles I see as protection. They protect me from falling down. But if I'm seeking material sense gratification outside of what is my relationship with the Lord, then I will see the regulative principles as a deprivation. So that's why when people say that, oh, I don't want to take to spirituality because I don't want restrictions. I want to do whatever I want to do. I don't want to be restricted. It's because they are seeking external sense gratification. But if one is seeking the Lord, then one will see these regulative principles as protection. So to be fenceless is to be defenseless. If there is no fence, then we have no defense. So we have to protect ourselves. We have to defend ourselves from external contamination by these regulative principles of freedom. What the uninformed see as restriction, the informed see as protection. So one who has no spiritual knowledge, they will see these regulative principles as a restriction. But one who has spiritual knowledge will realize that actually these regulative principles are important to protect my spiritual life. Another example is if we are diseased. If we have a disease, we go to the doctor. Doctor says, okay, you take this medicine, you follow this restriction in your diet. So if we follow the instruction of the doctor, we take the medicine and we restrict our diet, then we will be cured of the disease. But if we say that, no, I want to eat whatever I want to eat, I don't want any diet restriction, I don't want to take this bitter medicine, then I will not be cured of the disease. So we are all materially diseased. And for curing ourselves of the material disease, we have to take the bitter medicine and we have to restrict our diet. So what is the medicine? We have to chant the holy name. Why do I say bitter medicine? Is because initially the medicine will taste bitter to us because we are in a disease state. Previous class, we gave the example of a person who's infected with jaundice. Now, previously, the only cure for jaundice was sugar candy. And because the person has jaundice, when he takes a sugar candy, that sugar candy will taste very, very bitter. But that's not because the sugar candy is bitter. It's because he's in a disease state. Now, as he continues to take the bitter medicine, he will be cured of the disease. And now the very same sugar candy will taste very, very sweet to him because now he's cured of the disease. So initially, when we take the medicine, it appears bitter. So in the same way, our medicine is to chant the holy name, and our diet restrictions is to follow the 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. then we will be cured of our material disease. If we don't take to these restrictions, if we don't chant the holy name, then we will never be cured of the material disease. And it means taking birth life after life after life after life, again and again and again in this material world. Okay, so even if one goes to heaven, one does punya karmas and goes to heaven, it's like moving from one jail to another jail, going from a small prison house to a bigger prison house, because earthly planets have certain facilities, but heavenly planets, there are more facilities. But the point is, even Swarga, even heaven is still the material world. So what is the point in moving from a third class jail to a first class jail? The idea is to come out of jail completely. For that, we have to take the medicine and diet restriction, chant the holy name and follow the 4 regulative principles. Then only we will be free. So let's not mistake the lifeline to be a handcuff. These 4 regulative principles are actually our lifelines. It's not a handcuff. It's not a restriction. It is actually there to free us, give us freedom from the cycle of birth and death.
Prasade sarva dukkhanam Anirasyopajaayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate.
For one thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established.
So now Krishna is explaining what happens when one gets the prasad, when one gets the mercy of the Lord. What does Krishna say? The threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. See, prasade, one who gets the prasad, sarva dukhanam, all the dukha, sarva dukhanam, all the miseries. Hanir means will be destroyed. So Krishna is saying that one who receives the mercy of the Lord, all his miseries will be destroyed. Now, what does that mean? That a devotee does not suffer from adhyatmika, adi bhautika, adi klesha?
No.
So what does it mean then?
Maybe
Then
the potency gets lesser.
What? Sorry, I didn't get you.
The potency gets lesser.
The potency gets lesser. Okay, let's see. Anybody else wants to try?
they suffer, but Krishna gives them
The strength to face it.
the strength to bear it and take it.
The
And he
strength
makes
to
it
bear
less.
it, or the strength to take it, or rather devotee now by the mercy of Krishna has elevated himself, that he's not affected by these miseries. He's not like, because he is balanced, right? We discussed how he is not agitated. The mind is not agitated when there is
The
misery,
person
when there
gets
is
the
pain.
self-control.
So he's self-control.
Control
Yes.
on his mind.
Yeah. An example is just as how when we go on an airplane. Now the trees, the buildings are still there, but because we are on an airplane, those trees and those buildings appear much smaller. So when we elevate ourselves in our spiritual life, those problems still exist, but we have risen above those problems. We don't get agitated by those problems. Okay. So what happens when one receives prasad, then all his miseries exist no longer. And then he is satisfied. He in such satisfied consciousness. So this person is very, very happy. See, prasanna, he is happy, he's satisfied. And then one's intelligence is well established. His intelligence now, he's rock solid. He's rock solid because now he has experience. So his intelligence is well established, Krishna says.
Nasti buddhirayuktasya na chayuktasya bhavana na cha bhavayata shantihi ashantasya kutas sukham.
One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
Now Krishna is explaining what happens to one who does not receive prasad, one who does not have the mercy of the Lord. It's not that the Lord is not giving mercy. The Lord gives mercy to every living entity. The sun shines on everyone equally, but not everybody goes out and receives the sunshine. So not everybody is ready to receive the mercy of the Lord. So what happens here? Krishna is saying one who does not receive the mercy, one who does not receive prasad, then what happens? Then Krishna says that then the person is not peaceful. Then there is no possibility of peace. Then there is no peace. Why? Because there is no happiness. Why there is no happiness is because one can never be happy by gratifying the senses. The more we engage in sense gratification, the more we need. We will not reach the point of being happy and satisfied. So material sense gratification does not give us happiness. And when there is no happiness, there is no peace. Real contentment, real happiness is only when we are united with the Lord, when we serve the Lord. That's why when we do any devotional service, when we do any seva, we feel very, very happy and very, very satisfied. Although nobody has paid us for it. No, seva means it's not that we are doing it in return for a salary, but still we feel very, very happy. It's because by serving the Lord, we can be happy. We are connecting with the Lord, and then there can be peace.
Adhyatam.
What's that?
Saying adhyatam.
Adhyatma, where is that word?
No,
you're
no,
saying
it's
it
not
on
here. It's, the thing is that
okay,
it's
okay.
adhyatam,
Okay, your own satisfaction.
your own satisfaction.
Okay, okay. So to be purposeless is to be powerless. Our purpose is that we want to revive the lost relationship with the Lord. We want to revive. Why do I use the word revive? Is because it's already there. It's not something new. We don't have to invent something. Already our relationship with the Lord is there. It's just that we have forgotten it, right? So our purpose is to revive the lost relationship with the Lord. That is our purpose. If we do not have that purpose, if we do not have that spiritual goal, then we are powerless, because then it just means taking birth, just eating, sleeping, mating, defending like animals, and then coming back and doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Kriyanam hi charatam yanmanonu tadasya harati prajnam vayurnavamivambhasi.
Strong winds sweeps away a boat on the water. Even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence.
So here Krishna is giving an analogy. What is he saying? Just as how a strong wind can sweep away a boat, in the same way, material desires can sweep away our intelligence. Here Krishna uses the word intelligence. So just as how a strong wind can sweep away the boat, in the same way, desires can sweep away a man's intelligence. See, if we are in the middle of an ocean and we see that a particular area of the ocean is very, very stormy, then intelligence is to avoid the stormy area of the ocean. Otherwise, we will perish. In the same way, when we see that our mind is pulling us towards material sense gratification, we have to avoid those areas. If we do not avoid those areas, then we will also be swept away. Our intelligence will be finished. So those who put themselves in a storm's way are swept away. If we allow our mind to engage in sense gratification, it will lead to our fall down.
Tasmad yasya mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya pragya pratisthita.
Therefore, O mighty armed, one whose senses are restrained from their objects is certainly of steady intelligence.
So how should one make sure that one is not swept away? Here Krishna says by restraining the senses from their objects. By restraining the senses from their objects. So that way we can prevent ourselves from being swept away. Now, by what name is Krishna addressing Arjuna in this verse?
Mahabaho.
Mahabaho. What does that name mean?
Mighty arm.
Mighty arm. So he is referring to him as mighty arm because Arjuna has conquered many, many enemies in the past, right? Because he is mighty armed. Now Krishna is saying, now, oh mighty arm, now you have to conquer the greatest enemy, which is the senses. Therefore, he is calling him by this word, by this name, Mahabaho. The best time to win the battle against temptation is before it begins. So let's say, okay, our country is protected at the border, right? We have the armed forces at the borders to protect the borders. Why? Because if there is any intrusion, if there is any invader, of course, we want to defeat the enemy at the border itself. Are we going to wait for the intruder or for the enemy to enter the country, come inside, settle himself, and then are we going to fight him? Which is the best time to fight the enemy? At the border or after he has entered the country and settled himself down?
At the border.
At the border, isn't it? So the best time to win the temptation, win the battle against temptation is before it begins. Don't allow that thought to come and settle in your mind. You have to nip the evil in the bud. Don't let it grow. See, Srila Prabhupada gave the example that let's say you are sitting in a train and one very thin, feeble person enters and says that please give me some space to sit near the window. So one may say, okay, what's going to happen? Anyway, he's so thin, he's not going to occupy much space. And you feel some compassion and you give the person some space to sit over there. And then comes another person and this person allows him. Now the thin person allows the other person to come and sit there by the window. And then another one comes and then another one comes and then eventually you are thrown out. So better not to allow anyone to come and sit in your mind. Don't allow that thought to come and sit in your mind. Nip the evil in the bud. A sight on a site can trigger a fire inside. Watch what you watch. So nowadays, everything is so available just at the click of a button. So what we see on the internet can trigger a fire inside. Just one. See what Ajamila saw. I mean, he saw a prostitute embracing a man and that triggered his downfall, eventual downfall. So imagine how much more is available on the websites, how much more. So we have to be very, very careful what we watch on the internet and what our children are watching on the internet. 69.
या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमे यस्यां जागृति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः आपु.
Sorry. No.
What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage.
What is night for all beings is a time of awakening for the self-control. Now, a person who likes to party, goes to the discotheque, he's hanging out with friends, having a glass of whiskey or several glasses of whiskey, whatever it is. Now, when does he go to sleep? When he goes to sleep is actually the time a devotee wakes up for Mangal Arati. A devotee is ready for Mangal Arati at 4:30 a.m. So what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-control. And the time of awakening for all beings is the night for the introspective stage. So a devotee goes to bed very early by 8, 9. But that is a time when the day is beginning for a materialist. So see here devotees are ready for Mangalarti. They are glorifying the Lord. 4:30 a.m. the altar is open. The Lord is giving his first darshan for the day. So that is the day, that time the devotee is beginning his day. But at that time, a materialist is still enjoying. See, so here basically Krishna is talking about two classes of people with two different definitions of enjoyment. So what are the two classes of people? The materialists and the spiritualists. What is the definition of enjoyment for a materialist? Sense gratification. Eating wine, eating meat, drinking alcohol, smoking, going to the discotheque, all that sense gratification is enjoyment for a materialist. But for a spiritualist, enjoyment is self-realization. How to connect with the Lord, how to revive the lost relationship with the Lord. That is enjoyment for a spiritualist. What the spiritualists see sense gratification as puna punash charavita charvananam. This is actually spoken by Prahlad. What does this phrase mean? Repeatedly chewing that which has already been chewed. Chewing the chewed. Let's say we are chewing a sugar cane. Now there is some juice coming out from the sugar cane. Very, very sweet, very nice. But we continue to chew it, continue to chew it. Now there comes a stage where no more juice is coming by chewing the sugarcane. So what do? We just discard the sugarcane. Now no more juice is being extracted. But if we continue to chew that which has already been chewed, if we chew a sugarcane that has already been chewed, what is going to come out of it? Nothing at all. So when we try to engage our senses in sense gratification over and over again, life after life after life, in the animal body, in the bird's body, in the human body, also if we continue to do the same thing of meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex and gambling, it is nothing but chewing the chewed. Chewing the chewed. It's not going to give us any happiness. It is not going to give us any satisfaction. So a spiritualist sees sense gratification as chewing the chewed. Puna punash charavita charvananam. Now somebody may say, okay, can there be a third category? Somewhere in between. I do a little bit of spirituality, but I also want to enjoy some materialistic life. Can there be a third category? So let's see this. Suppose we want to go north, but somehow board a train that is going south. Now will running northwards within the train take us to our desired destination? Yes or no? No. So if we continue to try to enjoy materially, when we want to advance spiritually, it's just like doing this, running northwards within the train when we want to, within a train that's going south, when our destination is to go north. So probably this is our situation when we are trying to advance spiritually while still living in a materialistic culture. You cannot place your 2 feet on 2 boats. So are we running in the right direction, but on the wrong train? This is something that we have to contemplate on.
Udyamanam achala pratishtham samudramapah pravishanti yadva tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sashanti mapnoti na kamakami.
A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enters like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Now again, Krishna is giving an analogy. What is the analogy here? He's saying that when rivers enter into an ocean, the ocean is not agitated. Several rivers, they finally go into the ocean. They deposit themselves in the ocean. But the ocean is not agitated. The ocean still remains the same. The ocean is not overflowing, right? Despite all the rivers depositing themselves into the ocean. So in the same way, a person is not disturbed even when the desires come to his mind. Even though there may be unlimited desires coming to his mind, he does not get disturbed. He does not get disturbed. Now, why is it that the ocean is not getting agitated even when the rivers are going into the ocean? Is because the ocean is full. The ocean is full. It's a huge body. It is full of water. So the ocean is not getting agitated. In the same way, if we are full, we are content with the Lord, then we will not be disturbed by all these thoughts or all these desires that are coming to our mind. And only such a person, Krishna says, can achieve peace. Only such a person. So if we are content internally, only then we can be peaceful. Not the man who strives to satisfy such desires, because material desires are like a blazing fire, blazing forest fire. So ever flowing, never flooding is the state of the serene consciousness. An ocean is not disturbed by inflowing rivers because it is full of water. Similarly, we will no longer be disturbed by random thoughts if we are internally full. The best way to relish such inner fullness is by keeping Krishna in the center of our consciousness. We saw one example in one previous class, no, of how when we throw a stone on still water, then ripples are created in the water. Concentric circles are created. No, there are ripples in the water, and none of these concentric circles will be clashing with each other. So when we have the Lord in the center of our lives, everything else is automatically taken care of. Our children, our families, our material duties, everything is taken care of, and there is going to be no clash. But if we throw many stones in the water, then many concentric circles will be created, and all these circles will clash with each other. So if we have our family as our center, our finances as our center, also we want to engage in material sense gratification, we have many centers in our life, then there is going to be a clash. There cannot be peace. So by putting Krishna in the center, then there can be peace. Then automatically our family is taken care of, our financial necessities are taken care of, and we are satisfied. There is no more hankering for material sense gratification.
Vihaya kamanyas sarvan umamscharati nispruhah nirmamo nirahankarah sashantimadhigacchati.
A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of propriety, proper,
Proprietorship.
proprietorship is devoid of false ego. He alone can attain real peace.
So as long as we have material desires, we cannot have peace. We cannot have peace. We can have real peace only when, according to what Krishna says, we give up desires for sense gratification. Give up all sense of proprietorship. All the wars that are being fought is because one country thinks that I want to own this land. I am the owner. So no war will be fought if we realize that Krishna is the supreme proprietor, that the Lord is the owner of all that exists. Then what is there to fight? Because it does not belong to you, it does not belong to me. So one who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego. Now, what is false ego? False ego means to think that I am the controller. I am independent of the Lord. Now, if there is false ego, there should also be real ego. Now, what is real ego? Real ego is I'm eternally a servant of the Lord. That is real ego. That is what we really are. That is our true identity, that we are eternally the servants of the Lord. We are not the controllers. We are not the proprietors. We are only the servants of the Lord. So when we realize that we are only servants of the Lord, we are not the controllers, we are not the proprietors, we are not the Lord of everything that exists, then only we can be peaceful. Then only we can be peaceful. The last verse of the day and of the chapter, 72.
Yesha brahmi stitih partha nainam prapya vimuhyati sthitva syamanta kalepi Brahma nirvana mricchati. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyo Dhyayah.
That is the way of the spiritual and godly life. After attaining which a man is not bewildered, if one is thus situated even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God.
So Krishna concludes this chapter by explaining what happens, what are the results when one is spiritually situated. So when one is spiritually situated, the first result is the man is not bewildered. The man is not deluded. He's not under any kind of illusion. And number two, at the time of death, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Antakale, say Antakale, at the last moment, at the end of one's lifetime. Then you can enter into the kingdom of God. You can go back to the spiritual world from where we originally came from, Goloka or Vaikuntha. So here's an overview of the chapter. You can read it offline when I share the slides in the group, and you can get this overview, and it will help a better understanding of the chapter, because it's a long chapter. Sometimes we may kind of lose it, but what we will do is we will go back here. 1 second. Here. So here's the breakdown. The chapter begins Arjuna having further doubts, and eventually in 2.7 he surrenders to Krishna. In 2.7 he tells Krishna, please instruct me. So that's the turning point of the Bhagavad Gita we saw in 2.7. So finally he surrenders to Krishna, and that's when Krishna begins to instruct Arjuna. Now, in 2.11 to 2.30, Krishna spoke about the difference between the body and the soul. So here he counteracted Arjuna's compassion argument by giving him the knowledge, by giving the jnana of the difference between the body and the soul. Then Krishna counters Arjuna's enjoyment argument by explaining karma kanda. What is karma kanda? Karma kanda is material religiosity. Material religiosity means I engage in some religious practices, but I expect something in return from the Lord. So, okay, I will feed 100 brahmanas, or I will sponsor the feast in the temple, but I want you to cure me of this disease, for example. So that is called karma kanda. I engage in religious practices, but I expect something from the Lord. What is beyond karma kanda is if we engage in religious practices out of love for the Lord, out of devotion for the Lord, not expecting anything in return, then that is not karma kanda. Okay. So here he encounters the enjoyment argument by talking about karma kanda, because here Krishna says that if you fight the war and you win, you will enjoy the kingdom. And if you lose the war and you die, you will go to heaven because you have done your duty of a Kshatriya. You will go to heaven, and in heaven you can enjoy. So enjoyment reason is countered by karma kanda, by Krishna. Then Krishna, in the next section, he talks about buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga means he is combining jnana and karma. So you do your duty, you do your karma, but with knowledge. So you dovetail your activities in Krishna consciousness. That is buddhi yoga. Buddhi means intelligence. So intelligence is you do your activities without any reaction. When you do your activities, when you dovetail your activities in Krishna consciousness, then you don't take any reaction. Example, when we eat even vegetarian or vegan food, which is not offered to the Lord, there is still some karma in that food. That food is not karma free because living entities have lost their life in the preparation of that food. Yes, even plants have life. Sometimes they argue with the vegetarians. Plants also have life. So it's true, plants have life. But what does a Vaishnava do? What does a devotee do? He uses his intelligence. He offers that food to the Lord. So when he offers the food to the Lord accepts the food if it is offered with love and devotion. So now that food is karma free, because now what I'm eating is only the remnants of the Lord. I'm only taking what the Lord has left over. So the Lord has removed the karma from the food, and we only take the remnants of the Lord. So therefore, that is engaging in the activity, but with intelligence. So I'm doing the karma, but with the knowledge. So bringing jnana and karma kanda together is what is buddhi yoga or bhakti yoga. Using your intelligence, you combine karma with jnana in such a way that there is no reaction to the action. As long as there are reactions to our actions, doesn't matter whether it is good reaction or bad reaction. Good reaction will take us to heaven, bad reactions will take us to hell. But we do both together, then we can go beyond even heaven, which is still the material world. We can go to the spiritual world. Okay, so then Final section, which we saw today, was Sthita Pragya. What are the characteristics of a Sthita Pragya? One who's fixed up in Krishna consciousness. So with that, Krishna has ended chapter number 2. And with that, again, by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we have ended chapter number 2, titled Contents of the Gita Summarized. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Yes, I see the hand of Sri Radhe Mataji is raised.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I just have one question. You just said that the karma, good or bad, we have to take another body to get that karma cleaned up or to cleared up or to bhoging it. So if we keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra in kirtans and everything, but we are still doing karma, we are doing activities that are jiska phal milega. So that means we're going to get another body, right? It doesn't mean that our Hari Nam Sankirtan is going to nullify that karma, correct?
Okay, so there are 2 kinds of activities which we may do. One is knowingly and one is unknowingly. Okay, if we knowingly engage in such activities, then that karma will not be negated by chanting of the holy name, because that is one of the offenses to chanting. There are 10 offenses to chanting the holy name, and one of those 10 offenses is to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy name. So we should not think that I'm chanting, so it's okay once in a while to engage in sinful activity. But what we do unknowingly we cannot help. Let's say we are walking on the road, unknowingly we step on some ant or some other living entity and we are killing the living entity. So what we unknowingly do, that can be negated by chanting the holy name. But what we knowingly do, then that's an offense, that's an aparad. So that is a more serious crime.
Oh, okay, but this offense, knowingly, if someone does material activities and they're waiting the karma for it, and then doing Hari Nam Sankirtan, they're saying that no, this is the Hari Nam will nullify it, so it won't nullify it. Knowingly,
No,
they're making this.
no, the material activities have to be dovetailed in Krishna consciousness. So you need to give me an example to be more specific.
A person is doing Nam Sankirtan, but then they are going to see the movie of little girls being trafficking, stuff like that, which is very abominable, and they're taking other devotees along with them, and the ticket is not too much, it's only $8. But the thing is, the karma that's being done is being done. They know that this karma is going to create another phal, another bhoga for them to do in the next life. But why would they want to do that? Why wouldn't they want to just settle their karma down now? And they keep saying that I'm doing Hari Nam Sankirtan, so, and Prabhupada's disciple, and I'm doing Hari Nam Sankirtan, so it's going to take care of it.
Okay. See, one thing about spiritual life is we focus on our own spiritual life. We don't focus on what somebody else is doing. That's number 1 point. So if somebody else is watching a movie, that's between him, his spiritual master, and Krishna.
When that person is taking you down too, and
so if he wants to take you, you can refuse, right?
Yeah, you have a choice to refuse, but if you don't refuse.
Yeah, you have a choice to refuse, and if you think it's a frivolous activity, then don't go for it. But if somebody else is doing, we should not, all that Krishna teaches us in the Bhagavad Gita is for us to apply in our own life. Is not for us to take the scanner and scan and see who is somebody else doing it or no. Okay, that is very, very important, because otherwise we may end up committing Vaishnava aparad. Because we don't know what is there in the mind of that person. Probably the person is doing it for some reason. We don't know what's going on. So always apply it to your own self. You can choose not to go for a movie. You can choose to stay away. But if some other devotee is doing it, then it's between him, his guru, and Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
You're welcome. Okay, any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Lal.
Mind and intelligence. That was the class about it today, isn't it?
Yes.
Why the mind is so weak?
Yes.
I mean, why intelligence is so weak against the mind? I'm sorry, I don't know whether I'm...
Okay, so Krishna explains that intelligence is higher than the mind. Intelligence is higher than the mind. For example, The mind may tell me, I'm at this gathering and there is some food. It looks very delicious. I want to eat. The mind will tell me that. But then I use my intelligence and say that no, but this food is not prasad. This food is not offered to the Lord. This food is not fit for consumption by a Vaishnava. So I should not engage in it. Better to stay hungry than eat that food. So intelligence is higher than the mind. Another simple example is at night, there are many dirty dishes to be washed. And one may think that, oh, it's okay, I don't want to wash it now, I'll wash it in the morning. But intelligence says that no, anyway, these vessels have to be washed and it's better I enter a clean kitchen in the morning. That is intelligence. Okay. So intelligence is higher than the mind. So that's why Krishna uses the word buddhi yoga. Use your intelligence. Mind will always tell you the wrong thing.
That's what you said. Exactly.
Yeah, you make a difference between mind and intelligence. So a thought comes to your mind, but then you think about it, you contemplate on it and think, is this good for my Krishna consciousness or is it bad for my Krishna consciousness? You will get the answer.
Right. But when the mind tells you, you know it is bad.
Yes.
But you still need to do it because it will be good. Then you come in conflict with your intelligence over there. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm explaining you fine.
No, the thing is, if you're weak-minded, then you fall a prey to that temptation.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to be rock solid.
Wrong. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then there'll be no conflict.
Okay. I understand. All right. So no, this is the thing here is that how you control these two things. You know, it really sometimes because the mind, sometimes it feels that the mind controls the intelligence. The mind, okay, you are intelligent, you say no, you don't have to do it. The mind says, but you have to do it because this is going to be in favor of you. So how you control, how you balance this thing? That's the
Yeah, so how to do it? If the question is how to do it, by taking the medicine and diet restriction. When you chant the holy name and you follow the 4 regulative principles, then you can easily conquer the mind. The mind is you can make your mind your best friend, which it's your greatest enemy when it is not controlled, but it can become your best friend when it is controlled. So when we are diseased, we have to have medicine and diet control. So chant the holy name and follow the 4 regulative principles. Now, following the 4 regulative principles can be challenging for someone who's not been following it for several years, 40, 50, 60 years. Even at the age of 80, sometimes people are still into meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex and gambling. So the good thing is we can chant the holy name irrespective of whether we are following the principles or no. Just by chanting, just 10 minutes, if we chant with just 1 round every day, just 10 minutes, it will make a big difference. That I can guarantee you. And anybody can chant. There are no restrictions, no rules and regulations for chanting. So I invite you to do the experiment, because one can do an experiment in a laboratory and get a result, but you will not see the result unless you do the experiment yourself. How do you know what a gulab jamun tastes like unless you don't eat one yourself? Now you know exactly what it tastes like. So if you spend only 10 minutes every day, automatically everything else will be taken care of. That I can guarantee.
This is your class was really, I mean, it gave a good this thing that what always I wanted to ask: your mind, your intelligence. So these are the two things that how to combine it, because sometimes your mind says you know what, don't have to be that honest, because intelligence says you don't be that honest also, because here you will lose money or you will lose your anything whatsoever you're going to lose. You understand me?
Yes.
But that is what your mind tells you.
Yes.
How to do it. Okay, you take care of your own interest, which is first. You understand me? That's
Yes.
what your intelligence tells you, and that tells to the mind. So, okay, you know you are wrong, but you still have to do it. Do you understand me? So how to have it that one has to be 100% like.
Yeah.
That's what you said. Okay, I understand that, going more towards Godhead, maybe this will give a better like how you said to make the mind your friend. You understand me? That's what you said. The last thing is that
Exactly.
to
Yes.
do what is right, even though it doesn't favor you, but you have to do what is right at times.
Exactly. Yes. Even though it doesn't favor you, you use your intelligence and you do that which is right. Ultimately,
Right.
that will pay off.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that is the thing. Yeah. All right. I got it.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Hare Krishna again.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Sandra, your hand is raised. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Oh, I have a big doubt
Yes.
with one question of the exam. It's the number 39.
Number 39. Let's go there. One second.
Yes. Actually, I don't understand the question, and I went to read the chapter and the verse, but I don't understand how it's related to the verse 270.
No, verse 39. Are you talking about verse 39?
No, I'm talking about the question 39, and the question says that is related to verse 270. It says chapter 2, verse 70.
Ah, you're talking about the exam.
Yes, I'm talking about the exam because
okay,
I don't understand. I don't want the answer. I just want to understand the question because
Okay.
I read the verse and I couldn't understand.
Okay, I will check it up. 1 second.
My doubt is,
Yeah.
this happiness with the unfulfilled desires and the yogis who are running after mystic powers and they are happy. Yeah, I don't understand.
Okay, 1 second. So the question is, the fruitive workers, the salvationists, and also the yogis who are after mystic powers are all happy because of unfulfilled desires. So are they happy or are they not happy because of unfulfilled desires?
It's not an affirmation.
So that's
because
what so are they, so the question is that are these people happy because of unfulfilled desires, true or false?
Okay, because I was reading like affirmation. Are all happy because of unfulfilled desires? I was wondering how are they happy? Okay, it's only because the question mark. I didn't read with the question mark. Very simple.
No, it's a
Okay, thank
statement.
you.
It's not, there is no question mark. It's just a statement and you have to say the statement is true or it is false. It's a little tricky, but yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, and what about the verse, the 70 verse? Because I read, but I couldn't connect the content of the verse with the question.
Okay, let's see. 1 second. So are you using your Veda base?
Yes.
.70. So here you will have to read the purport scrutinizingly. Here Krishna says that one who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires. Yes.
They can enter into the ocean, which is been filled. We just read now in today's lesson, no?
Yes, yes. See, the answer is there in the puppet. I just saw it. I cannot point it out because then I will be giving away the answer.
Okay, no, I'm not asking for the answer.
Yeah,
of course.
so if you read the puppet scrutinizingly, here the puppet is this, after the translate, these puppets we are not reading in the classes because of time constraints. We just briefly see them.
Okay, good.
But if you read the puppet scrutinizingly, you will find the answers.
Good. Thank you. Hare Krishna Mataji.
You're welcome, Hare Krishna. Very happy to hear your voice for the first time. Okay, Shivani Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I forgot your question, but I think you mentioned something about Prajalpa.
About what?
Prajalpa? Am I right or wrong?
I'm not able to get that word.
Prajalpa, something like that.
Prajalpa.
Yeah.
Prajalpa is gossip.
So did you mention today something related to that?
I don't recall it. I don't think I did. I don't think I used Prajalpa.
Some word you used, something maybe closer to that. I mean, not meaning the same, something similar. I forgot the question now. Okay, anyway, I forgot.
Okay, but anyway, what about it?
No, I want to know what it means. Right? But I don't know
Prajalpa means gossip, unnecessarily wasting your time. See, we speak about controlling the senses. So the tongue, how do we control the tongue? By speaking. The tongue has two functions, speaking and eating, isn't it? So eating, we eat only prasad and we speak Krishna Katha. So Prajalpa, when we engage in Prajalpa or unnecessary gossip, then it is again engaging the senses in the wrong direction.
So then you will say Prajalpa. But you're talking without, that has nothing to do with Krishna. Anything like that is Prajalpa.
Yes, you speak about Krishna, you speak about the glories of the devotees of Krishna. Whether you speak about the Lord or his devotees is the same thing. And if you're discussing Bollywood and you're discussing IPL, then it's not Krishna service.
No, then that's Prajalpa, right?
Yeah, that's Prajalpa, correct.
Okay.
Okay, what else?
Oh, Mataji, one more question. Till when do we have for the exam?
We have till the 31st of August, you have time to submit the second chapter.
Okay.
So we have, let me see how many submissions. We already have. Those who have submitted are Saket, Jay Radhetela, Kalpana Hevlekar, Khushbu Vasnani, Kumar Ramgulam, Auntie Neeta, Neha Chatlani, and Venkatesh Adiseshan. These are the submissions we have already received. And all of them are very high scoring. So I'm very happy to see the marks also, which means that the purports are being read scrutinizingly. As we proceed in the exam, as we proceed through the chapters, the difficulty level will increase a tad bit more, because it would mean that you need to read the purports even more scrutinizingly, which is the goal of these exams, because we're not reading the purports in the classes. So because of the exams, you will have to read the purports more scrutinizingly. Okay, what else?
Sanam, I have a question.
Yes.
In the beginning of the chapter, you started with saying that don't contemplate on objects of senses. How do we do that? In our daily life, it's so difficult.
Yeah, so how contemplating on the objects of senses means don't recall it. Don't think about it over and over again. How do we do it is by giving the mind better sense engagement, higher taste. So such thoughts are coming to our mind, just reach out for your japamala, just chant your round. So your mind is now engaged in hearing the holy name. So how to do it is by giving the mind better sense engagement, higher taste.
But this will not create, how to say, fanaticism.
No, why is it fanaticism? See, fanaticism is when you have,
Listen.
see, religion without philosophy is fanaticism. But when religion and philosophy are combined together, then it is not fanaticism. Srila Prabhupada has explained this to us. So we don't have to blindly follow something. We don't blindly follow something. We follow it because we understand from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra about the glories of the holy name. If you just see the scriptures, Shastra talk about the glories of the holy name over and over again, and there are many, many scriptural evidences. So we are not saying that blindly follow. No, religion, philosophy is a sentiment.
What you want to say here is, first you understand the problem, and then you look for whatever you want to chant, the name of the God or whatever, in the aspect of the word. Because if you don't understand the problem and we just start chanting the name of the God, we have lost that philosophical term in that, that's what I was interpreting in.
Yeah, of course, the first step is to recognize that we are diseased. To recognize, say, if a person goes to the doctor, he has to first of all accept that he's in a disease state. If he's in a state of denial, he will not go to the doctor and he will not take the medicine. So first of all, we have to recognize. So anyway, Divya, when she said that how to do it because these thoughts are coming to her mind, so she recognizes that it's a problem, right? So now what is the solution?
Okay.
Yeah, Shivani?
No, I'm doing nothing.
Okay. Okay. Anything else we need to discuss? All right then. So see you all next Saturday. If Krishna so sanctions, we will begin with chapter number 3. Until then, have a nice week and weekend in Krishna consciousness. Vancha kalpataru vyascha kripa sindhu vyayavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Mataji,
Hare
thank you so much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.